So far, the political fallout from Catalonia's independence bid shows no sign of being contained. On the contrary, all sides are digging in for a protracted battle. My guest this week here in Brussels is Spain's Foreign Minister Alfonso Dastis. How has his government failed to prevent the country's worst and arguably its most predictable political crisis in decades? Alfonso Dastis, welcome to Conflict Zone.
Thank you very much. I am pleased to be here.
Prime Minister Rajoy was in Barcelona at the weekend, vowing to end what he called separatist havoc. But in the eyes of a number of human rights organizations, your security forces were responsible for at least part of that havoc. You denied this against the video evidence broadcast by a number of mainstream broadcasting organizations around the world. What did you base your denial on?
Well, I didn't deny it.
You denied
entirely.
excessive force.
Yes. And indeed,
on the basis of what?
Of the fact that of the data that were made public after this supposedly excessive force. I mean,
data from
people.
Whom?
Well, from the government of Catalonia at the time, they said they accepted that only 4 people were taken to hospital. They claimed that 800 were treated for injuries, but they acknowledged that half of that were simply anxiety attacks. I mean, honestly, there may have been cases of force, but that was not excessive force, and that was not a deliberate force. It was a reaction to provocations from people who prevented them from discharging the mandate that they had received by the courts.
So if your police did nothing wrong, why ignore the calls, among them international calls, for an independent and impartial investigation? Why?
We didn't ignore such calls. We said that such an investigation was going to be carried through by the courts on account of the cases that have been brought to them, claiming that use of force or
the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights called for an independent investigation. The Council of Europe's Human Rights Commissioner.
We have already always said that we have a standing invitation to special representatives of human rights organizations and international organizations to come as they feel it's needed. We have received letters. We have answered those letters. And, the investigations are being carried through by the organs that are supposed to carry those investigations, which are the courts.
Minister, if that's true, why did the citizens' rights lieutenant at the city government in Barcelona, when asked what took place, who was involved, what the cost was, he was told by the Interior Ministry, presentation of this information would violate the regulations on classified information. In other words, get lost.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we have been really candid about this, and we have let every people who have been interested in this investigation to...
But he was told it was classified information.
Well, maybe it's the same with the list of those 800 people who have been injured that we have asked for it and we've never received.
But if it's classified, then it's a cover-up, isn't it?
No, I don't think. No, I mean everyone was carrying cameras, and things can be seen and are being seen and investigated. I don't think there is any cover-up.
No?
No?
Well, you continue to deny excessive force. Human Rights Watch, for example, said from its own research into 3 cases, it had no doubt at all that national police and civil guard officers used excessive force.
Well,
you think they made that up?
You're talking about 3 cases and 4 people taken to hospital.
At least three areas that they covered. I mean, in Fonolosa, for instance, an old woman, 70 years old, said she was picked up and thrown to the ground by 2 civil guards after refusing to move from her chair, which was blocking the path to the station. Someone else was then thrown on top of her, and her wrist broke. Is that not excessive force?
I don't know. I mean, if they were prevented from, if they prevented the police from doing what they should be doing because
people
the
get
court's
thrown
order-
on top of each other, a 70-year-old
Well, come
woman.
on, come on. These kinds of accidents occur. So I
Doesn't
don't
sound
think-
like an accident, does it?
Well, look, I don't think this was by any means a really, a Sunday, a bloody Sunday or anything like that.
Well, it may not have been Bloody Sunday, but it was hardly in the best traditions of policing, was it? If people are being thrown onto the ground.
Well, if you look at the actions of the police in many other incidents, I don't think you will be many different situation and pictures than those that you saw. So I don't think, and I repeat, I don't think that was excessive force. No.
You didn't read these accounts from Human Rights Watch, did you?
No, I didn't.
You haven't.
No.
So you were simply sent out to tell the world that everything is fine.
No, I'm telling the world what I believe happened, and because I saw also the pictures.
We've discovered that your police were specifically warned by the courts to respect the coexistence between citizens.
That's not entirely the case. No.
No?
No. And
That was reported by Human Rights Watch.
Well, I think that was, if I'm correct, that was a phrase in one of the preambles of the different documents that were drafted, but that was not in the final order of the courts. No.
The fact is that they have a well-known reputation for using excessive force, don't they? One that has already been censured by the UN, the Committee Against Torture, and numerous human rights groups, haven't they?
No,
And once again, they showed that was justified.
I don't think that is the case. I think Spain is one of the countries with the fewer condemnations or judgments in the European Courts of Human Rights, less than, for example, Belgium or many others. So I don't think that we have a reputation. On the contrary.
Foreign Minister, 2 years ago, the UN Committee Against Torture said it was seriously concerned over reports that the Spanish authorities failed to carry out prompt, effective, impartial and thorough investigations into complaints of torture and ill treatment committed by your security forces, including allegations regarding acts committed during incommunicado detention and excessive use of force by the police.
Well, I think that's the job of the Committee on Torture to say that about countries and to make sure that...
Well, only if it's the truth.
Well, yeah, but
Only if it's the truth.
That may have been the truth in Spain in one or two occasions, but the same happens in many other countries.
It said, but that's not an excuse, is it? It said the Spanish authorities made little effort to prosecute alleged offenders.
Look, I don't think. Well, that's an opinion in any way, but I don't think Spain has nothing. Cannot receive lessons from many countries on that score.
It's not receiving lessons from countries, receiving from the convention body that you signed up to. You are signatory to the Convention Against Torture, therefore you are scrutinized.
Which proves that we are ready to be scrutinized. And there are other countries who don't accept such.
But you can't be proud of the results of this scrutiny, can you? If they say that they also express concern.
In as much as there is a single case where there is a claim, yes, we cannot. Our aspiration is to be in a position not to receive any such claims. But I don't think that we are in a particular position that we can single out as a country which has many such situations of torture. No.
In one case last May, the European Court of Human Rights found that Spain violated the prohibition of torture and other ill treatment by failing to conduct an effective and thorough investigation into allegations of torture. You proud of that?
One case? You mentioned one case?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the first case. There have been seven cases. Mm-hmm. That's a track record, isn't it?
Well, if you
compare,
it depends to what you compare it.
It doesn't. But are you happy with these 7 cases? Are you proud of this record?
I said that I'm not happy with any case where there is supposedly... I haven't followed through whether those claims have been proven right or not. So,
but they come from the court itself.
Which court?
European Court of Human Rights.
Well, I just told you that Spain is one of the countries with the fewest cases of being condemned by the European Court of Human Rights. So something do not fit. I mean, I've read the reports and I've seen that our proportion is about 0.13 cases. So there may be something wrong on that. Maybe your information is not entirely correct. I don't know.
No, it is actually correct.
Well,
let me talk more about your handling of this crisis, the Catalan crisis. You have, say, you're enforcing the law and constitution.
yeah.
But according to the Catalonian government, your administration has itself been in clear violation of the Spanish constitution. It said from 19th of September to October the 1st, the Civil Guard opened private letters addressed to thousands of citizens, searched government offices and private companies, intercepted the post-delivery of subscription magazines in an attempt to seize all material related to the coming vote, all in violation of Article 18 of the Spanish Constitution. What would you say to that?
That's their opinion. If you take at face value whatever they say,
But do you deny that those things were done?
Because the court was ordering to find out who was responsible for lots of actions that were done in contravention to our constitution. So it's not that they took the initiative by themselves. They were following court's orders. And that is what the police do in countries where the rule of law prevails.
They also point out that your government is pretty selective in which court decisions it implements and which it chooses to ignore. It says the Catalan government says there are currently 34 rulings by Spanish courts in favour of Catalonia, which you, the Madrid government, simply ignore. 3 on education, 24 on social services, 3 on environmental matters and 4 on culture.
Look, I don't think that now is the time to discuss those things, which are, claims by a regional government that has been blatantly disregarding their own regional laws, the decisions of the courts, the constitution. So, to me, it's beyond me.
Accusing you of hypocrisy.
Well, we could do the same. We don't need to accuse them of hypocrisy. We accuse them of actions that have been judged by everyone and by any sensible people to be in blatant disregard of the laws of democracy. I mean, what can you accept of people who have simply put away the rules of the parliaments and the opinion of the legal services and even the opinions of the majority to pursue, a path that was simply going to divide the Catalan people and deprive them of the kind of coexistence and togetherness that they were living with so far.
Why did you let this crisis get so bad? I mean, there were so many opportunities to stop it along the way. This is a catastrophic failure by your government not to step in earlier and do something.
That's your
about
opinion.
this, isn't it?
That's your opinion. I don't think that's a catastrophic failure. There may have been some. We may have been a bit naive. We didn't think that these people would go so far as to provoke the situation of division and fragmentation that they have provoked in Catalonia. But that's simply their own responsibility.
But the fact is that the Catalan ex-president Carlos Puigdemont repeatedly and continually sought dialogue, which your government turned down, didn't he?
Look, he only sought a dialogue about the question of a referendum, the date of a referendum, and the date of declaration of unilateral independence. All those things are totally impossible under the Spanish constitution and, for that matter, under any constitution in the Western world.
Minister, is that true? Because on April the 20th, he said publicly that if Madrid agrees just to the existence of a problem between Spain and Catalonia, acknowledging the problem and starting talks would send a positive sign.
Well,
But you refuse.
That's his opinion in any way. I don't
that's
think
what
that
he
is
said.
true. That's what he said, but that's okay. If you take what he says as the truth, that's fine with me.
But he asked for nothing more illegal and nothing more seditious than roads for negotiation and dialogue that could give expression to the aspirations of the majority. That's what he asked
if
for.
that was true, he would have come to the meetings of the presidents of the Spanish regions to discuss about the new system of financing of the autonomous communities. He would have come to the committee that has been established in the Spanish Parliament to discuss about the possible amendment of the Constitution. He never came to that. He simply thinks that he is right and everyone else is wrong, and I honestly think that the truth is the opposite.
But even after the referendum, he stepped back from asking the Catalan parliament to vote on independence. Instead, he made a symbolic declaration and called for negotiations on the region's future. And your response was to threaten him with Article 155 to suspend autonomy.
The government gave him every opportunity to step back from the brink. He could have had the opportunity to call elections himself. He didn't dare. Honestly, to me, it's hard to understand how you give some credit to that kind of politician who is clearly a discredited politician by now.
But here's the irony, because on October the 29th, you said, I rule out full independence, but not necessarily more autonomy, even if they are now already one of the regions with the highest powers and competences. Mm-hmm. Why on earth didn't you offer more autonomy 6 months earlier, instead of just shutting down the discussion?
I think such a possibility was clearly offered to them.
They don't think so. They don't think so.
Well,
they were simply asking for roads for negotiation and got turned down on that.
No, really.
You didn't offer this 6 months earlier.
Well, we did. We have been offering dialogue all the way. And honestly, they have proven that the only thing that they wanted, God knows why, is to bring the Catalan people to the brink of disaster by pursuing this road to unilateral independence. Somehow, unilateral, DUE, Declaration of Unilateral Independence in Spanish, comes across in English as driving under the influence, and I'm absolutely convinced that these people are driving under some kind of influence. I don't know what, but it's an opportunity now we have with
but he's
the
on
new
record
elections.
as asking just for roads, for negotiation and dialogue. That's all he asked for. You didn't offer more autonomy at that time.
We did.
At that time?
We have offered.
He said you didn't.
Before, well, he says, if you trust him, that's fine. I deny it.
You were distracted. The government was thinking of other things. There were all these corruption scandals breaking.
On the 29th of October?
In April.
In April.
When he made that offer.
I don't remember right now, but I'm sure that we were governing, which is what we are supposed to do. The thing that Mr. Puigdemont has not been doing in the last few months. He didn't take any notice of the needs of the Catalan people. The only thing he talked about and thought about was the independence, and the result is the situation in which Catalonia finds itself right now, with businesses leaving and unemployment growing, and that is only the responsibility of the previous Catalan government.
And you weren't distracted by all the corruption scandals that your party has faced, with one senior official after another becoming implicated in illegal processes?
I don't think that government was distracted by that.
No?
No.
Your Prime Minister was called to appear as a witness in one of the most notorious cases of corruption in your party. First time a sitting Prime Minister has been called to give evidence in Spain.
I'm not sure that was the first case, but in any case, the Prime Minister did what any ordinary citizen would do, and what Mr. Puigdemont doesn't want to do, because he escaped the justice. So there is nothing wrong in appearing as witness in a case before the court, and that is something that Mr. Puigdemont doesn't seem ready to do. So there you go.
Well, according to him and according to the Catalan government, you bet everything on the coercive power of the law and the state to make it go away. But it hasn't worked, has it?
We haven't used the coercion. The only moment that we have had, the police has been forced to do some coercion is because they were obeying court's orders. We have always showing the way to dialogue, and we have to govern the whole country, and we do it in a peaceful and democratic way, and that's the way it is. If you go on, simply accepting as the whole truth what the previous Catalan government was saying, that's fine, but that's not the reality.
But your actions were causing concern even in Geneva with the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights. September the 28th, his office released its experts' view that the measures they were witnessing in Spain, in Catalonia, the searching of printing houses, the seizure of referendum material, blocked websites, political meetings shut down, these were worrying them because, they said, they appeared to violate fundamental individual rights, cutting off public information and the possibility of debate at a critical moment for Spain's democracy.
Well, you said it appeared. They appeared to violate. They sent letters and with their opinions to us, and we dutifully answered them, and that is fine. That's a kind of exchange that we have, and all members.
You said
in
they
the
were
Union.
wrong. You denied this.
You
think
said,
those are acceptable measures to take?
I mean, what I say is that some of the measures sometimes have to be done in order to comply with the judgments of the courts and with decisions of the courts. So the whole procedure is about finding out whether those situations are justified or not. And we believe that in these cases they were justified because of the the investigations that were being carried out by the courts about people who were clearly violating Spanish laws and the Constitution.
And when the UN's expert on the promotion of a democratic and equitable international order accuses you of backsliding on commitments and international agreements, like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, for instance,
Yes, I do. We have never hidden from the examinations and about our level of compliance with the international covenants on human rights.
Yes, but he says you are backsliding on your commitments.
Well,
he says international treaties.
We have a procedure. We have a procedure to ascertain whether that is true or not, and that is what we are following.
You may be following it, but they don't agree that you're in compliance with it.
Well, that's their opinion. Then we have ours, and then the procedure exists to find out who is right and who is wrong, and we'll find out. Yeah.
The right of self-determination, they say, is a right of peoples and not a prerogative of states either to grant or deny.
I mean, whoever says that without qualifying what he's saying is simply someone who cannot be, considered as someone who is, interpreting or applying the law, which is very clear that the right of the so-called right of self-determination of peoples do not exist in the context of states who behave without discriminating people from, on account of their beliefs, of their religion, or of their color. So, if that is the type of people that you trust, there may be something wrong in your judgment too.
Well, it's not that I trust them, it's what the UN experts are saying. Regardless of the lawfulness of the referendum, they said, you had a responsibility to respect those rights that are essential to democratic societies.
And we do respect them. And the ones who didn't respect them was the previous government of Catalonia. We do respect them, but there are rights that do not exist, however much you claim they exist.
Do you think this issue is really going to go away?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. We are going to be able to re-establish, togetherness and coexistence in Catalonia, and we are going to safeguard the rights of those who live in Catalonia to remain Catalan, Spanish, and European.
You had 750,000 people demonstrating on Saturday for independence and against the current detention of the Catalan leaders. Yeah. And you think they're just going to go away?
No, they're going to express their vote in the elections of the 21st of December, together with 6 other million people of Catalans.
But you've already cast a long shadow over these elections, haven't you? The strong
haven't.
Implication from senior members of your party is that if the independence parties win and still want independence, you'll just step in and take power back again.
Again, that is your opinion. We haven't said such things. I don't know where you get those things from.
The Senate's Vice President, Pedro Sanz, who's a member of your party, he said, if after December the 21st there is a government outside of the law, there will be another 155, another Article 155 being triggered, which means you come back in and remove autonomy.
We'll see what happens if...
This is a threat, isn't it?
No, it is not a threat. I mean, No, I don't think there is a threat. We are going, I mean, we have shown that we want democracy to prevail in Catalonia, let Catalan people vote, and then we'll see what happens. Those who can prevent any such situation as has been created in the last few months are those who are disregarding and violating first the Catalan law and then the constitutional law.
But do you think this is a free and fair election? If you're saying,
Yes, indeed.
If you're saying at the same time, if the wrong side wins, we'll come in and take power away again.
We are not saying such a thing. No, we are not saying such a thing. No, we are making sure that this is going to be a free and fair election.
All right. Minister, thank you very much for being on Conflict Zone.
Thank you.
Thank you.